Hello, African Queen Mo subscribers and friends. How are you doing? Habari zenu? Hope you're well. Thank you so much for gracing my channel. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your support. I have seen I've got so many views. Have you guys been shocked? Especially those of you who've been with me for so long. My goodness. They should have told me that it was going to take me years to get to this point. I would have given up a long time ago. But me, being the entrepreneur that I am, and being the indefatigable spirit that I am, I am not giving up. Don't give up. Eventually, you're going to find your niche. My biggest problem was always trying to figure out, where do I belong? What do I do? What do people want to hear? All right, so before I go on, my name is African Queen Mo. I'm based in Wales, and I think that's all you need to know, because everything else is in my 200 plus videos back there. If you want to know all about me, just go and start viewing them right from the beginning until you get to this point. Yeah, let's increase the watch hours so that I can eventually get monetized and do much more with my channel. So welcome again. Today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of Africans have not been talking about, but it's been talked about a lot by the Western YouTubers. Are you aware that we should be prepping? Are you aware, guys? Are you aware about that? I know I shift a lot in my seat. Yeah, but it's good. You know, don't be too comfortable. Don't be too comfortable. Prepare. Now, what are we preparing for and why? I hereby bring to your attention, my dear brothers and sisters from the continent, most of you who know almost nothing about this particular topic, I'm going to bring to your attention the New World Order, all right, and something called Unveiling the Committee of 300. There's a video out there that I'd like you guys to watch. Yes, the unveiling of the Committee of 300. If you look it up in Wikipedia, it will be said to be some sort of conspiracy. However, why don't we dissect it and decide for ourselves whether or not it's a conspiracy, or maybe it's just coincidence? I would say maybe it could have started out as a conspiracy, but why is it so coincidental? Why does it seem to be aligning with our lives so much? The reason why I want to bring this to you is because I was kept up all night one time, about 2 days ago, when I was doing my research for you. The more research I do for you, the more frightened I get about where we are in this world. Yeah. If you see a little bit of stuff going around there, this is my big cat. Say hi to my cat. He's a beauty, isn't he? Hello, pussycat. Say hi. So you might see him around because he's got this very big bushy tail. He's a beautiful cat. So, okay, I digress, but it's good for you to have a clue that you know that I love animals, but look at how big the guy has grown. He's big. Big guy. So he likes following me around, so just understand that, you know, he may be around. So anyway, for how long are we going to ignore the impact of bad manners, the impact of corruption, the impact of the kinds of decisions that have been taken by our governments for many, many, many years? How long? For how long are we going to ignore the geopolitics that's going on around the world? Do we think that we are insulated as Africans? Do we think that as Kenyans we are insulated, you know, from the shocks that are going to come, you know, to us? Shock on us. We are not insulated one bit. We are just as vulnerable to the decisions of the international countries, of the Europeans, of the Westerners, of Americans. We are vulnerable, okay? Because we will be impacted one way or the other. Do you remember 2020 lockdowns? Do you remember what happened with COVID? All the way from China to Europe to America, all that, and how it impacted on yours and my living standards, okay, and decisions up to the point of the family itself. So what I want us to do, guys, this is 2024, and it's having stayed up all night doing research, a lot of things were revealed to me. And I believe that I am a spiritual person. For those of you who understand spirituality, what it means is that basically I believe that there's a higher power that guides us. And sometimes we're guided to information and material that, you know, when everything is all quiet, you're guided to that kind of material. So this is the information that I came across that might be of interest to you, and something that I feel that you should actually consider seriously. So number one, according According to the Committee of 300, all right, what is projected to happen in future is the middle class will be eroded. Look at your country and see, is the middle class thriving? Is the middle class growing? Is it doing well, or is it eroding? Jobs permanently eroded. If you look in your country, whether you're from Kenya, from the UK, America, anywhere in the world, how is the job sector going? Those adverts in the newspapers and online and everywhere, whenever you apply, do you get a response? Do those jobs exist? What are people's experiences with job hunting? Ask yourself that question. I'm talking about people who are skilled. You know, they're skilled at all levels, basically. Okay, we have researchers, we have educators, we have the people in the informal sector, we have people in the formal sector, lawyers, doctors. We're talking about skilled jobs. Okay, so those skilled jobs will be permanently eroded. And this is what is actually proposed to potentially happen. Lower middle class wealth eroded. The wealth of the middle class is being eroded slowly as we see it. Isn't it true, guys? Yeah? Gains in manufacturing eroded. Let's talk about the gains in manufacturing eroded. So, you're manufacturing things that are made of steel, okay? China's industries, what's going on there? What's happening with the manufacturing in Germany? Germany that relies on energy, was relying on energy from Russia. What is happening in the manufacturing sector there? We know that many manufacturing jobs have been affected. Many companies closed because they're not able to do manufacturing because of lack of gas and steel. And especially energy, because of the lack of energy sources and because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and the gas pipeline that was cut and the gas supplies that were cut to German firms. So what has that done? It has impacted on manufacturing in Germany. And what about manufacturing being impacted by the lack of microchips that come from countries such as Taiwan, all the way from the east? We know that many cars are no longer being built. New cars are no longer being manufactured anymore at the same rate as they used to be before. Why? Because the microchips that are required, the electronic chips that are used to create certain engine and movable parts of the cars are not available anymore. So now second-hand cars are becoming more expensive. New cars are unavailable. So we can see already that this thing, is it really a conspiracy or is it a coincidence? Let's call it a coincidence theory, okay? Let's not call it a conspiracy theory. All right, patriots are punished. Patriots, people who stand up for what is right. People who stand up for their country. People who say, we stand by our people, we stand by our history, we stand by who we are. We want to continue with our traditions the way they are. We want to be patriotic towards our country. We want to remain in our countries and grow the country. What happens? They're punished. Yeah? How are they punished? And unfortunately, if you want to remain in your country and maybe go into agriculture, farming, get busy, try to build up the lives of your people, you'll find yourself being relocated to a different country because the economy is so bad it cannot sustain you in your country. So again, if you're patriotic and you fight against the oppression by the governments or by the leaders of the day, what happens? You're also punished. Yeah, they come after you. They plant things on you. They call you names. They mock you. They can even make you, lose your job. This can happen. But traitors are rewarded. Traitors, puppets, people who play to the tunes of other governments, those are rewarded. How are they rewarded? With better jobs, with comfortable pensions. They are rewarded. Okay? So the world is inverse. It's upside down. Now, socialism is actually something that seems to be imposed. Now it's all about standardization. Everybody coming to be at the same place, doing the exact same thing. This Committee of 300, what they're trying to do is they're trying to force changes in people that they don't want or never asked for. So for example, in the case of Kenya, it would be something like the housing fund. In the case of globally, it might be the fact that digitization of the currency. It might be that, for example, we're hearing rumors, okay, of the fact that there is potential for our monies to have an expiry date in banks. So there you are, earning your income, putting your money in the banks, which might eventually end up having an expiry date, use by date. Okay, so you have to use this money by a certain date. So what do we also see? We see the rise in propaganda, which is used to convince the population about the evils of competitors, or the evils of other governments, or the evils of other leaders. And especially the propaganda that is used as a tool by people who have almost no qualifications and no capacities to run on. So for example, you'll find that somebody who is not qualified for a job might be imposed on a population, and the way that he will go about winning that campaign is by creating propaganda through bribery and corruption, falsifying information about their competitor or about patriotic leaders. Okay? And they will capitalize on the weaknesses of the society or the tribe. So for example, in the situation in Kenya, what we have is propaganda tools being used to divide the population into people who are poorer and people who are born rich, people who are born into poor families, people who are born into rich families, or people who have held power for a long time and those who have not. So there will be propaganda that is led to that. Much of that is false information. So what else can we see? Things to do with, you heard about Maisha number in Kenya, which is the digital identity tracking number that is supposed to be imposed on the population, starting with little babies who are born, but which has been right now stopped by the judiciary in Kenya. All right. So we have things like Social Security, which was apparently supposedly supposed to abolish poverty through socialist social security plans. So this Social Security is supposed to be something that abolishes poverty by enhancing access to finances and to resources for people in their old age, for example. Yeah. So apart from that, we have leaders who are claiming to have created millions of jobs, thousands of jobs. But when you look at the quality of those jobs, what kind of jobs are those? They are gig economy jobs, or they are poorly paying jobs. They are wages that are just not useful. They are wages that cannot sustain a family. They are daily wages. These are jobs that are insecure. So guys, the reality on the ground, based on my experience here in the UK for the few months that I've been here, is that jobs are not easy to come by. Not just for internationals, but even for people who are here in the UK, even for, the citizens of the UK, they're having a hard time finding the right jobs for themselves or to fit in jobs. So don't listen to all the propaganda. Oh, we've created millions and millions of jobs. Oh, we're going to be doing this for you. We're doing that for you. What I want to say is that in these countries, for example, that have adopted socialism, yeah, you will always see them kind of like waving a carrot and a stick. The carrot that will be waved will be like, oh, you never guess what? We're going to be increasing benefits by a certain amount. And this, by check your accounts by this date. Yeah, you should be receiving an extra £600 or, oh, check on this date. Oh, by April, we're going to do this. So they're always promising carrots on one hand, and then they have the stick on the other hand. So for example, some of the sticks are, they're planning to pull several thousand drivers off the road because they're coming up with new rules about vision, what standards you need to meet for your vision for the roads. So many people may not be able to drive. The insurance is going up. Car insurance is going up. There's issues to do with immigration as well, where, for example, students will not be able to come with their families for their undergraduates. And even for master's degrees, they won't be able to come here with their families, people from outside of the country. They talk about government cracking down. They're always cracking down on stuff. Crack down on this and crack down on that. So what I wanted to just tell you guys is this. We need to be independent. Think about our families and start prepping. Back in the day in Africa, we know very well that our grandmothers and great-grandmothers were great at prepping for hard days and for hard times. So for example, there would be granaries where there would be storage for grain, cereal grain for not just for yourself, but for the whole village. And as Africans, we must think like villagers. Think about, for example, if there was no electricity all of a sudden. I know you're not used to living in Europe, a Europe that has problems with power, but we've been hearing in some countries where they have power outages all of a sudden. Power outages can happen anywhere, anytime. Sometimes they're disaster related in terms of climate disasters, but in other times, we don't really know what people are going to expect. So we should be having some flashlights, and you can go into the internet and look for lists of things that you should purchase. It could be flashlights, it could be extra blankets, because you never know whether you'll be able to get heating in winter. When you're out here in the diaspora. And for those of you who are in places like in Africa, you should also be prepping. You should be thinking how you can buy your food in bulk. Also, how you can grow your food if you can, because you're lucky you can grow it. Some of you in the gardens, some of you right there in your corridors, in your shambas, to try to be self-sufficient, especially with food. The other thing is to try to have a savings culture where whatever money you have, you try to save. So you try to reduce your overheads as much as possible. The idea is that we should be prepping. We should be thinking, strategizing for the future. I will not give you specific advice on how to prep or how to organize. All I just want you to know is that our security, our personal security, and the security that we have had traditionally in developed nations should be questioned, okay? Because they themselves don't feel secure. So why should we be feeling more secure than they are? You saw what happened in Ukraine when the war broke out. What happened to the African students who were in Ukraine? Some of them were not allowed on the trains. They were not allowed on public transportation because they wanted to give priority to their own citizens, and you cannot fault them for that. Yeah. So before I go on any further, I just wanted to let you know that I would like you to follow that committee of 300. I'll try to see if I can get a link to that video and put it under my video. I keep telling you about links and I don't put them. So for the last video, I promised links and I didn't. I'm going to put them on this one. I'm also going to put a link to that video. But maybe I can also find links to prepping videos. And those of you who are preppers, you can advise us on how to prep going forward. Because sometimes it might mean that you downgrade or you bring down your living standards, or that you go and live back with your families. Elderly and children have to be considered first, and women. Yeah, those are the vulnerable sectors of our society. And children includes anybody under the age of 18. So it could be young males as well as young females. So we should all be thinking about how to prep, what to think, what to strategize, almost to the point in case, for example, there was to be a black swan event. I've been reading and discovered that there is potential for what they call a black swan event. Similar to what happened during COVID period. Black swan event just means an event that causes disaster, catastrophe, sudden economic, implosions in countries. So for example, what happened with the virus, Well, have you guys heard about the Chinese tinkering with a new virus that is being developed from pangolins? Pangolins are these animals that kind of come from kind of dry desert places like maybe Australia, Southern Africa region. And you hear about their medicinal properties and medicinal values. Especially Asian Orientals have been caught in airports smuggling pangolins because they're actually quite expensive, just like they have also been smuggling rhino horn. Okay, so we know that the pangolin has been used to create a virus that has a 100% fatality rate. It was tried on mice in labs, and those mice were actually kind of like DNA was altered so that they're more human-like, and it resulted in a 100% fatality rate for the mice, and those mice actually died after a couple of days from brain hemorrhaging or brain injury. So the problem with this is that we heard about the tinkering of viruses, how COVID started, and we know that it probably was started, though do not know exactly the origins. Already we have had this advanced notice about a potential virus, and this kind of virus might also require a kind of similar approach. Perhaps they might want to lock people in, or maybe if they don't, they might make us all wear masks, and things like that. So we don't really know. The potential also for escalating tension in the world. Already, Sweden has asked its population to prepare for war. I mean, we just have to say things the way they are. As Africans, where are you? What are you thinking when Western countries are talking this way? What are you thinking? What are you planning? Or are you not planning anything at all? Are you hiding your head in the sand like an ostrich and pretending that everything is fine? You know, I do not believe that anybody was born with something called diaspora remittances written over their heads. In other words, I do not feel any sort of mandate, okay, to live for my government's excesses, to deny myself of freedom because of my government's excesses, their bad behavior and their excesses. So if they decide that they're going to borrow and they want to finance infrastructure projects, they want to build a road to the moon, why is it that I have to slog away in a foreign country, yeah, and deny myself of happiness in a place where in those foreign countries, many of them do not even want to have people from migrants from other countries there in the first place? So why would I subject myself and my children to this kind of situation just because of trying to finance the excesses of my government, which are not even being capped? They're not being addressed. Corruption is not being addressed. You see that they are driving luxury vehicles. Yeah, they live in huge, gigantic palatial homes. They have servants and maids, and they live a much more comfortable life than even people in the Western countries. So why should we be sacrificing for them? Why? I know they would not like to hear this message, but the thing is, as Kenyans and as Africans and as global citizens, especially as Black people and Africans, we should be thinking about planning and prepping. Some people have decided to move countries, to shift countries. Other people, what they've decided is to consolidate what they have. Others have come together and will share resources. Others have formed groups online, you know, that they can expand their network and make sure that they have each other, they have each other's backs. Whatever's going to be your approach to planning and strategizing on how to survive the next Black Swan event, yeah, we should be thinking about it. We should not be like so comfortable. We should not be so comfortable and imagine that we are safe and everything is fine and hunky-dory and great. Yeah. Because it's not, guys, it's not. And then we have to remember that we have obligations. We have obligations to our elderly parents. For some of us who are out here a certain age, we have obligation to our parents. We have obligation to our to their hard sweat. Yeah, we have obligation. Some of you people have left plots of land at home. That land needs to be tended. Somebody needs to be looking after it. You should be growing crops on it. If you're not growing crops on it, you should be allowing it to be used for food production so that the people at home don't starve. You should not be putting fences around your plots just so that you can enjoy your plot by yourself when your neighbor doesn't have a place to farm, a place to produce food for their family. That is anti-African. It's very anti-African. We are not selfish human beings, you know. We are very giving and very kind human beings. Yeah. So we don't want to feel like we're just living individualistic lives. We have to plan and plan with others in mind. Plan with your neighbor in mind. Plan with yourself and your neighbor in mind. Okay? Yeah. And this is the issue that we should be thinking, re-strategizing. We cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. We should have learned something from that COVID situation, from the lockdowns. We should have learned something from there so that now, moving forward, we are prepared. Yeah? What do you think, guys? All right, I look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you for your time and wish you the best. I'll be back with another dossier. For those of you who love Kenyan politics, I'll be back with Kenyan politics. For those who like music, coming back with music. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talk to you again. Thank you so much. Remember to thumbs up this video. Thank you for thumbing up my videos. I do appreciate it. And please remember to watch all the way to the end. Very important. Oh yes, a little bit of a disclaimer I must put in there. I have seen there some people, most of you are fabulous when it comes to commenting, that even when you have an alternative view, you express it in a very nice way, or you express it with some respect. But there are some elements, of course, in society that are not respectful, they're disrespectful, and they don't care what they say, blah, blah. Just know that any of those kinds of comments, rude, insulting comments will not see the light of day for very long on my channel. I will have the liberty of striking them off. So I don't need to tolerate that because I do not abuse or insult anybody myself. Whatever I publish here is information that is already out in the media. It's already out in the public, right? And when it is my own opinion, I am happy to be challenged on it, and I usually will tell you that it's my own opinion. Yeah. So most of the information that I have is research. As a researcher, we know that we're supposed to connect the dots between different sources of information. That's called triangulation. Okay. So when I triangulate information and come up with a conclusion, yeah, maybe you should check your own facts, or just maybe provide an alternative view and say, oh, but have you checked this fact? How have you checked that fact? I'll be more than happy as a researcher to go back and look into it. So thanks very much. I don't want to belabor this point. I do appreciate you. Thank you. Take care. Thank you so much. Let's prep. Let's remember to prep, and let's figure it. All right. Bye. To-do. Wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean.